Hi everyone, welcome to TACOS Tuesday, episode 22. Today I am writing solo without Hamish, and so I wanted to take this opportunity as it's the new year to kind of go over a series I'm going to call the fundamentals. And so I've got a deck that I'm going to share with you guys today about, the fundamentals of Amazon, what Amazon advertising actually is, and how to use it. And so I'm going to share screen with you guys, and I'll share this deck at the end of the podcast. And I'll just share screen here. And yeah, I want to walk you guys through these basics the basics parts here. So this first episode is going to be solely around all of the main components of advertising, and then we'll step into sort of more fundamentals over the next few episodes. So, what is Amazon advertising? Amazon, so today's agenda is what is Amazon advertising? What different types of Amazon advertising are there? How do each of these types differ? How does advertising work? And how do I know if advertising is working? Is kind of the pieces we're going to cover today. So the first one is Amazon advertising, how it works. Amazon reserves many different placements to be purchased at auction on their website. And Amazon uses a system called bids or bidding to determine where advertised placements could appear. These bids are organized into who pays the highest down to who is paying the lowest. Your position on the search result is determined by where your bid sits in this hierarchy. So I added a screenshot here to kind of give you an idea of what it could look like. So in this example, this is a screenshot of a search results page on Amazon. At the top here, you have what we call a headline ad, and I'll get into more detail on what these are later. Below that, we have 4 sponsored placements at the top, and this is, I think, on the term vitamin C or vitamin. And you've got 1, 2, 3 placements, and then you've got your first organic placement here on the far right-hand side. So all of these sponsored placements here are all sellers paying for this visibility. And the way that it works is that the highest bid will get the highest placement. So in this case, I'm using the example of bid $2.50. They're going to get the highest placement. Then you got $2.30 in second place, $2.10 in third place, and $1.80 in fourth place. One thing to note with the bidding system is that you don't pay the full amount of the bid. So, for example, in this case here, where this top position is paying $2.50 for this placement, they actually would only pay $2.31, which is just higher than the second place. So you only pay what the second place position is to your placement. So in this case, they're going to be paying $2.31. These guys would be paying just over the $2.10. These guys are going to just be paying over the $1.80, and then this $1.80 would be over whoever's in the next position. So hopefully that makes sense. But basically, you're only paying just over. So if I set this to $10 to be in this placement here, I would still only pay $2.31 to take that placement if I'm getting into that position 1. And so that's kind of how the bidding auction works. It's a second place auction, but that's the nuts and bolts of it. The second area I wanted to talk on was around the different advertising types that are out there. There's 3 main advertising types. There's also, I'll get into the fourth one later, probably in a different episode, but there's 3 main ones that are important for you guys to know about. So the first is sponsored products, which is this one here. Now I've put a screenshot above them of each one of these types to kind of show you where they would show up on the Amazon search results page. So sponsored products, it actually shows up in a lot of places, but the main places that sponsored products show up are on the search results page. And sponsored products, these they show top of search, middle of search, and bottom of search, and this ad type typically gives you the best return as it looks the most like an organic listing. A lot of people have a mistrust to advertising, and so the sponsored product ads look very much like an organic. You can see these two, there's very little difference other than this little sponsored tag here. And so that's the main difference. This ad type generally, like I said, gives you the best return. Most of your budget generally should be on sponsored products, depending on what your brand is. Bigger brands sometimes like that already have very good organic rank. generally sponsored products, maybe you're doing less on sponsored products in those cases. This ad type has the biggest impact on your organic rank. Yeah, so I just sort of touched on that. The second ad type is sponsored brand. And sponsored brand can show up in multiple places. Top of search is the most prevalent place, but it can also show up on product detail pages. It can show up lower on the search results as well. The main difference between sponsored brands and sponsored products is that one of them, that sponsored brand comes with a video or a creative, an image or a video that you can have at the top. So that's really powerful when you're advertising on terms where people are still kind of researching what they want. Because remember, people come to Amazon to kind of figure out or to do their market research or to do their research on what they're wanting to do. So for example, if I'm looking for a pair of running shoes and I go ahead and type in running shoes on Amazon, depending on what kind of runner I am, that's probably the start of my journey. The end of my journey might be like, I'm a trail runner, and so I'm going to get more specific into running shoes that are for trail running, which is very different to shoes for for different kind of sports. Like if I were doing track and field, that's going to be a different kind of shoe than what's for trail. So with that being said, you can serve ads with a creative or an image that can help educate and tell the customer, more about what your product is and does to help them move them down that funnel, faster. So that's the main difference there. The other part is that the other benefits of the sponsored brand is that it's good at showing a range of products. So for example, you might have a specific range that you're wanting to focus on with 3 different colors. Most of the time in sponsored products, you can only actually, if they're grouped together under variations, you can actually only show one of the variations in the search for sponsored products. But for sponsored brand, you could actually show the whole range. So if you had 3 different colors of a specific product, and you wanted people to see all 3 colors because it was important to see all 3, you could do that in a sponsored brand headline ad. Whereas for sponsored products, Amazon only actually, because they don't want to just show 3 of the same product at top search, they'll actually only show you one product of those 3 variations at top of search here. So that's one other way, or one use case that you can use sponsored brand for. The last one is that you can also use it to showcase store pages. So you might have, let's say you're selling frying pans, and you have stainless steel frying pans, non-stick frying pans, and you have ceramic. I don't think that's a thing, but let's say you've got 3 different types like that. But within each of those, you might have multiple sizes and multiple different variations of those types of stainless steel, of non-stick, and of ceramic. So if you do have that situation, you can't fit all of those products in the tiles here at the top. So Amazon will allow you to put store pages in here where you can direct people to the store. And once they're at the store, they can then select whatever product that they're trying to find in there. So obviously it goes without saying that your store does need to be optimized, but you can then get them to the store, and then they can purchase products within the store that suits them. And also there's no ads on your store. So once they're there, they're generally going to be able to shop around without being distracted by competitors. The last piece here is just some advice on around when to implement it. So it's a good ad type to implement once you know what terms you convert best on. So generally this ad type, as I've mentioned before, it doesn't convert as well as your sponsored products because this one's clearly an ad compared to this one not looking like an ad. Sponsored products I'm talking about. So once sponsored product starts getting some data and starts getting some search terms that you convert on, using those to create campaigns for your sponsored brand is a really strong way of growing your account and improving the overall position. So that's sponsored brand. The last one is sponsored display. So sponsored display is probably the one that's the most different from the other 2. These are both search related, so they'll show up on product pages, and on search. But the main area is on search. But sponsored display it shows up on product pages, it shows up on search, and it also shows up elsewhere outside of Amazon's ecosystem. And it's because it's audience-based targeting generally. There is you can target product like specific competitor products, but generally, like most of the advertising in sponsored display is audience-based. So where it can show up, there's multiple places it can show up. Here and here are two examples on a product detail page. There's more places that it shows up. It shows up like at the top of the product detail page. You can't actually see it here, but at the top here it can show up. It can show up on the sidebar on Amazon's actual website. As I mentioned, it can show up off Amazon, like literally off Amazon, and bring customers onto the Amazon platform. And it can follow you around. So that's the unique part about sponsored display. So one of the best ways to use it is to retarget people that have either purchased from you before, if your product is a repeatable purchase product. If it's a $200 product, it's a one-time purchase, obviously that doesn't make sense. But or if they've viewed your product page before but didn't purchase. So what that means is let's say I sell a vitamin C, and someone purchases from me, and I can retarget, and let's say I set up a sponsored display campaign to retarget that person after 30 days, because I know after 30 days they should be running out of their vitamins. What that'll do is this ad that you can see here will follow the customer around when I'm retargeting them. So instead of targeting specific competitor products, this will actually follow them around on Amazon's ecosystem to just keep serving up to them and saying, hey, you've looked at this before, maybe you're interested, right? And so or maybe you're still interested, or you've purchased this before, you should, obviously you're going to be nearly out, let's repurchase it again. And the same principle applies for viewed and didn't purchase. So if you're selling something a bit more expensive, you'd use and it's a one-time type purchase product, you'd use the viewed your product page but didn't purchase option. And again, that would follow them around depending on what products that they clicked on. It would keep showing up in places like here and here. It shows up in other places as well, but these are two of the most prominent places it shows up. So they're the three main advertising service or advertising types that are out there. There's a fourth, which is sponsored TV, which is relatively new to Australia, but that is getting more and more legs as Amazon get more people on Prime. I'm not going to go over that one today. That one is for more advanced sellers, where you do have a marketing budget for awareness and things like that. So I'll probably do a whole episode just on sponsored TV. So the next slide is, here we go. Sorry about that. How does advertising work? So we've kind of covered, how the bids work, how the ads, what different type of ads they are. So this one's just talking about how does it work in general? And it's like in its most basic form, advertising is where you have a product and you've decided to serve an ad for that product on either a relevant search term or other products detail page. So Amazon really is a search engine at the end of the day. Like Google, people go there, search for ideas. They also search for products to buy. Amazon's a lot more bottom of the funnel. People are generally there. They know the platform is, a shopping app, so they're there to purchase. Search terms are where customers search for the Amazon search bar, in the Amazon search bar. Very much like Google, if I want a new pair of running shoes, I would search running shoes on Amazon to begin my search. Product detail pages are like landing pages. So I've shown you some examples in the previous slide. The one with the product in it, that was a product detail page. And that is like a landing page. It'll have things like your key information about the product, like it's the images, the title, the bullet points, and other information. Amazon allows you to advertise on your own product detail page and your competitors. This is helpful for brand protection and gaining market share. So one of the unique things about Amazon is that you can advertise on competitor product pages, and you can also advertise on competitor search terms. So if I had a brand name my competitors can actually advertise on my brand name. So that is a unique thing to Amazon. So when you go and search for a brand as a customer or as a shopper, you not always will see the brand that you're searching for, depending on what ads are being served from your competitors. So that's it in its most basic form. Most people are getting to Amazon and searching on Amazon, and search terms are what the majority of the volume is coming through. The product detail page is really about just snatching those people that we know are interested because they're searching for a similar product to ours, and we're just trying to capture them before they make that decision to purchase. How do I know if advertising is working? So this is kind of the reporting piece of the whole equation. And so really there's two components to advertising on Amazon. There's traffic and then there's conversion. So there's traffic coming in and then there's the conversion piece of it. So the traffic coming in is really the advertising piece. Advertising is sending traffic into the listing to try and get conversions, but it's the listing's job to convert. The listing is the imagery, the title. It's the marketing really of the product, and so that marketing piece and the listing is important to get good conversion. And so with that kind of being said, I've kind of summarized the main components or the main metrics that you'd want to track when you're running your advertising. So as I said, traffic. So driving traffic is the aim of the game. If you're getting clicks, advertising is working. Measuring how many clicks you are getting for each of your products is a good indication if you're getting the traffic you need. So advertising is just math. And so, if you know what your conversion rate is averagely and you're getting a certain amount of clicks, you can kind of estimate how many orders you're going to get based on the amount of clicks you're getting. And if you can improve your conversion rate, obviously that's going to help things. But clicks is an important one to measure. How many people are actually clicking? You can also put in impressions here. How many impressions are people getting? So impressions are when someone searches a search term. So running shoes, for example, everything on that page, when I search for running shoes, would get an impression in that case. So one search by a customer or a shopper, one search is equal to, generally there's about 50 to 60 products on a page, is equal to 50 impressions. Now, not everyone gets seen, of course. If someone just clicks on running shoes and then they purchase before they scroll down, the products that got the impressions that were down lower never even got seen, whereas the ones at the top obviously did get seen and got a click and a purchase from there. So the reason I use clicks is because and impressions is important too, but the reason I use clicks is because clicks is the actual traffic where people got to your listing. They saw it, they clicked on it, and they ended up on the listing. Whereas impressions can sometimes be misleading because you're getting lots of impressions, but realistically, no one's actually seeing your product because maybe you're further down the page. You're not at the top of page one. So that's clicks. The second is conversion rate, so abbreviated as CVR. Now you're getting clicks. You need to know if your traffic is converting. This is calculated conversions divided by clicks. This tells us how well the traffic we are sending is converting. The real trick is knowing if your conversion is good or not. Amazon's average conversion is 10%. There's an episode I'll do on what we call brand metrics. So Amazon actually does give you category benchmarks for the medium and for the category top on what conversion rates the products are. And so you can get an indication on how you stack up versus the category medium and the category top. And that's just, when we say medium and top, that's just like middle sellers and top sellers. So your category top is going to be your big brand names and things like that. And then your category medium is going to be those brand names that are not as well known. So if your conversion rate is higher than the category medium, generally that's a good indication that you're ready to spend on advertising or spend more on advertising. You're ready to grow because your conversion rate is higher than majority of the competitors in your category. The other side of the equation, so this equation really only takes care of traffic. It doesn't consider your profit goals or anything around your margins or anything like that, right? This is purely just traffic. So the margin piece is kind of on this side of the equation, which is what we call ACOS and TACOS. So I'll define both of these. So ACOS is advertising cost of sale, and I've got these bubbles here to kind of show you how they're calculated. So ACOS is ad spend divided by ad sales, that equals ACOS. This really tells us the effectiveness of our ads in a siloed environment. It's just showing us the ad data. Ad spend divided by ad sales. Yeah, so it measures the profitability of your ads. So if you knew that, if you knew what your margins were, you could work out what your ACOS should be. And then you would know every sale has to be within a certain range to make it make money for you. Your ads should really fit into 3 categories: ranking, research, and profit. And I'm going to do a whole episode on that because that piece is really important. Each of your campaigns should have some purpose. It shouldn't just be that you're launching them and you want them all to be profitable, although that is a strategy, but you need to know that that's the strategy when you set them up, because that should also determine what kind of search terms you go after. Those more generic search terms I mentioned before, they're not going to be good ones for you to go after if you're trying to drive profitability, because generally they're going to be a worse return for you. ACOS is the metric you can use to give each of your campaigns purpose. TACOS, and obviously this episode, this podcast is named Tacos Tuesday, and it's named Tacos Tuesday appropriately, and that's because this one is the impact of ad spend on, or ad sales and ad spend on, your overall account. So the way this one's calculated is ad spend divided by total sales, and that equals your Tacos. One of the most powerful metrics, which is why our podcast is called Tacos Tuesday. The importance of this metric is it tells us the impact that our ad spend is having on the overall account. It's why we love this metric so much, because what we're really trying to do is drive as many free sales as we can for brands. And so understanding the relationship between ad spend and total sales is really important, which is why we use Tacos, because if we know we can spend more and not just get, a good ROAS, a good ACOS, a good return on our ad spend, but actually exponentially grow the total sales, and that's by ranking, improving our organic rank, then we're willing to spend a lot more on those types of activities. And that's why I say in the one above this, that ranking is one of those strategies that you need to have set up. It's an exponential strategy. It doesn't just get you, you put in $10 and you get back 30. Well, you could put in $10 and you could get back 100 in a ranking situation if your product stacks up and things like that. So it's exponential in that sense. So that's kind of the how do you know if your advertising is working? You want to measure your traffic. You want to measure your and you want to measure the your profitability and how hard can you scale. So that's really the nuts and bolts of this episode. So the conclusion is advertising can be tricky to navigate, and going alone takes time and is full of costly lessons. So learning from people who have been where you are reduces both the time it takes to learn and reduces those costly mistakes. So one of the things we do for brands is we do advertising audits. We spend a lot of time developing our audits to provide real value, actionable insights into your advertising results. So if that's something that you guys are interested in, you can go to our website. I think there'll be a link in the show notes that you'll be able to book a call with me, and we can go over, whether it's a good fit for you and whether you should do an advertising audit. At the start of a new year, it's a good time to kind of have a look at your results and see where you could improve for the new year. The other thing I wanted to touch on was that we have 2 events coming up. In this world of virtual and online, we've just seen the value in having in-person meetups. And so we've got 2 events coming up. One is in Melbourne on the 19th of February from between 4 to 6 p.m. And the second one is in Sydney on Thursday, the 20th of February, between 4 to 6. So there's going to be a link in the show notes to our website, which has more of the event details. But we'd love to see you there. These events have been super, super powerful, helping brands negotiate with Amazon and really get some really good results for their brands just by collaborating and talking together. So we look forward to hopefully seeing you there. Thank you for being with me today. I hope the fundamentals series and this fundamentals piece kind of helps you understand the lay of the land a little bit more, and hopefully it sets you up for an amazing 2025. So thanks again for joining me, and we will see you on the next episode. Bye for now.